A proportion is a statement of equality between two ratios. We can use that idea in order to solve a proportion, to solve word problems. The technique that we're going to use today to start to solve a proportion is the technique of cross multiplication. If we apply that technique, we can find the missing value for any ratio or proportion. We can apply cross multiplication to solve a proportion such as this. If we are using cross multiplication, the technique is done exactly as the name says. We cross multiply. Therefore, we will multiply the x by the 21 and the 7 by the 6. So if we multiply x by 21, we will get 21x. We have an equal sign here, so we place back this equal sign. And then we multiply 7 by 6. I will not work it out, you will see why. 7 times 6. So I leave it as 7 times 6. And then from there, we go back to our principles of algebra. We are trying to isolate the x. If we want x by itself, we need to divide each side of the problem by 21. Therefore, I divide by 21 here, I divide by 21 here. What happens here is that my x remains by itself. The 21 cancels out the other 21, and I'm left with just an x. Equal sign returns, and now I have 7 times 6 divided by 21. From there, I can easily cancel as much as I can. 7 into 7 goes once, 7 into 21 goes 3 times, 3 into 3 goes once, 3 into 6 goes 2 times. Therefore, I'm left with a 1 times 2, which gives me 2, and a 1 below. Therefore, x is 2. I could apply cross multiplication again to solve another ratio and proportion problem. In this case, I have 5 over 8 is equal to w over 9. And the problem is asking me what is the w. As usual, I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to do 8 times w, then 5 times 9. If I do 8 times w, 8 times w is the same thing as 8w. I have an equal sign here, so my equal sign returns. Then I have 5 times 9. Remember from algebra again, if we want to isolate the w, if we want to get w by itself, we need to divide by 8 on both sides of the equation. Therefore, I divide by 8 here, and I divide by 8 here. This 8 cancels out the other 8, therefore I'm left with w equals 5 times 9 over 8. In this case, nothing can be cancelled out. Therefore, I can simply work out my problem. W is 5 times 9 is 45 over 8. Therefore, W in this proportion is 45 over 8. Here's a more complicated proportion problem. Although it looks more complicated, the exact same techniques can be used to solve this problem. If this problem is asking me to solve for y, I will apply exactly the same procedure. I need to cross multiply. Therefore, I would do y times 2 and 5 over 8, and then 4 and 1 over 8 times 6 over 11. And from there, I will continue. So y times 2 and 5 over 8 is the same thing as 2 and 5 over 8 y. Remember, I have an equal sign, so I place back that equal sign. And then 4 and 1 over 8 multiplied by 6 over 11, I will write it again, 4 and 1 over 8 times 6 over 11. Remember what has to happen here. We need to get y by itself. We need to isolate the y. Therefore, we need to divide the problem by 2 and 5 over 8. If we divide on one side of the equation, we must divide on the next side of the equation. Therefore, y would be equal to 4 and 1 over 8 times 6 over 11 divided by 2 and 5 over 8. Again, remember, we divide by 2 and 5 over 8 to get the y by itself. And whatever is done on one side of the equal sign, the exact same thing must be done on the other side of the equal sign. Now this brings us right back to fractions and mixed numbers. If we are dividing a mixed number, we need to take that mixed number and make it an improper fraction. So I'll do this right now. Y is equal to, this also has to change into an improper fraction also. So y is equal to 4 times 8 is 32 plus 1 is 33 over 8 times 6 over 11 divided by 8 times 2 is 16 plus 5 gives me 21 over 8. And remember, if we are dividing fractions, our division sign is supposed to turn into a multiply sign, and the fraction immediately after that flips upside down, gets inverted. Therefore, y is equal to 33 over 8 times 6 over 11 times 8 over 21. And from there I can cancel as much as I can. If I'm canceling, I could easily see that 11 into 11 goes once, 11 into 33 goes 3 times. Then I could say 3 into 3 goes once, 3 into 21 goes 7 times, 8 into 8 goes once, 8 into 8 goes once. Nothing else can be cancelled, so y is equal to 1 times 6 times 1, which is 6, and 1 times 1 times 7, which is 7. Therefore, in this problem, y is 6 over 7. So because we have a fraction doesn't mean that we abandon the technique. We apply exactly the same technique and then apply what we know in operations for mixed numbers and fractions.